weight, you know. So there was never really any beef, if I can put it that way. There was more a brotherhood. Yeah.
So currently, right now, I mean, you know, you found your feet quite well. I mean, you're living up here in Jozi. You're a Pretoria boy now. You're staying up here for work. You're working full time up here. You travel a lot around the country for work. Your family's still back in East London, am I right?
Yep.
And you're still dedicated, if not with more passion, since you started to bodybuilding as full time too as well. How does this balance in Jola's life? You're a busy man. I mean, you got a child, you got a wife, you got a full-time job, and you busy building up your brand. I remember the last time we spoke, and you have an obligation to yourself to obviously to try and become one of the best bodybuilders locally and internationally in your own right. How are you balancing this out? Because a bodybuilder needs to be mentally strong. You know that it starts up here, and to be away from the family, I mean, whew, it can be tough. So how's it going for you, brother? How are you managing this, and what's the end game for this distance and stuff like that? What's going on?
That's a good question, Wade, man. You know what? Like I always say, he who finds what he loves, you know, has really found a good thing. So when I truly feel, let me put it this way. I used to think the first time I fell in love with bodybuilding, that's when I found what true love is, because I found something that really completed me as a person, and something that I could do, and it really brought out the best in me. But when I actually had a child, that changed my life completely, man. It really put a twist in the perspective I have in life. And when my daughter was born, that's when I really understood the true meaning of life and what life is really about. And I truly, honestly speaking, man, I always put God first, my family second, and everything that I love third. Because at any given moment, if my family feels that, or I feel that I'm putting my family second to the things that I love, I'll stop bodybuilding at a heartbeat. So I'll do anything for my child.
All about that, you know. For most people, I think a lot of people know more or less, you know, your bodybuilding history and how you came up the ranks and all the shows. And you're one of those bodybuilders who are very entertaining on stage. Now, it takes a lot of guys to get on the stage and just put on posing trunks and stand there in front of thousands of people or hundreds of people. And then you take it one further now and you start popping, locking, splits, handstands, bringing motorbikes onto the stage. You bring a different element to a show. We wait for you. I remember when I first saw you as a junior at the Never. Oh, this was donkeys years ago. I think I still had hair at the time. It was in Durban.
Never in Durban.
I always talk to against Grayson Horn, and I see this giant come out, and then I see you. I'm like, what the hell is this old thinking? But it was a junior Never. You had to stand with him, and then when you came out and did your pose routine, I was like, yo, this guy's got something going on. This guy's gonna do massive things. And then when I started following bodybuilding in the Eastern Cape, and I found out, whoa, this guy's from East London, and this guy's well known, and he's not a shy kid. I mean, he's willing to do whatever it takes. And where did that inspiration come? Where you posing and dancing? I mean, Kai Green's doing it. Melvin Anthony does it. What there any of your inspirations? Where did it come from? Because it really brings a massive element and a massive part to the competition.
So I used to. I'm a fan of bodybuilding before I find myself as a bodybuilder. So Wade, I used to look at the old bodybuilding books. I've got boxes and boxes, the different poses, the guys cheese, and you walk off, and you like. And as an athlete, when you go and watch a bodybuilding show, you like, this is so monotonous. You know, there's no excitement, and I feel for sometimes for people as fans that come and watch bodybuilding shows, because I think that that fire, that zing, that passion that the old school guys had of bodybuilding has, you know, somehow disappeared, and guys just want to do what I have to do, win the show, and get out of there. And they don't leave people with some memorable impactful moments where they like taken back and like, wow, this was like a show. So I used to look at those magazines and be like so inspired about that. And then, you know, growing up in the township, you don't have access to internet and things like that. At that time, there were VCRs. So I used to, there's a friend of mine that had one, and I saw a video of Michael Ott. Now, at that time, like, if a guy had a VCR, now you had a lot of guys that wanted to come watch, you had to pay to go and watch the VCR. I remember the guy like charged me $10. Yeah. And $10 in 1999 and 2000 was a lot of money, man.
Yeah, that was
as a kid. Yes, see. So I paid this $10, and he like set up the school hall, and we watched Michael Ott. Man, I was blown away with Michael Ott. He posed with the song of Enya. Forgot the name of the song. And I used to think Michael Ott was the blonde myth because he had blonde hair. Until to date, I kid you not, there is no one in South Africa that has come close to the condition that Michael Ott used to bring, man. Michael Ott,
you need to try and get us some photos so we can put it on social media, because I read about him. I saw 1 or 2 photos, but if you can get the good stuff, you know, you can bring it back out there, man.
Nah, I will, man. So when I saw this, his posing routine, and it was so classical and so chilled, and I kid you not, he was so peeled and shredded. Every movement he made, you saw muscles you only saw in biology class. You were like, what? You know? And I was taken back, man. And then I asked this guy for more VCRs that I could watch, you know. So the guy obviously charged me more money. And then I saw a posing routine of Melvin Anthony. Yeah. And I was like, wow, you know. I was like, Jesus, this guy is taking the whole classical thing, you know, mixed it up, and I was blown away. At that time, there wasn't, Kai Green was not even in the picture. Kai Green wasn't. Kai Green is good, and he was never really my inspiration because he came later on, and I had already found myself in terms of bodybuilding and stuff. But I also appreciated what he did, and you know. But I think my first eye opener was Michael Ott, but then, you know, I started seeing like how Melvin Anthony kind of like, you know, turned things up and switched it, and I like, wow, I want to watch a show, and I want people to watch me and be like, wow, you know, I really feel like. And that from there, man, I started practicing. My mom, I used to drive my mom crazy, waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, putting in these VCRs and practicing away and driving her mad. And she was sold into it, you know, but she didn't mind.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask. I mean, how many hours a day you would spend practicing your pose routine for a show? Because there was never a mistake whenever you walked on stage. Yeah. It was polished, you know, from start to end with the beat. Even when the motorbike came on and you were revving it. Yeah. Everything was in sync. So no, I mean that's amazing. And I think when I was also watching back in those days, and you see Melvin Anthony, and then when you walk into a show, you're hoping someone walks on that stage who could mimic or do something close to that. And I think that's what you brought.
Yeah.
Open, you know, this is an open forum, and a lot of guys, when I worked back in 2010, 11, I was working, remember I worked at the gym in East London. I was, I mean, a lot of guys, like, you know, we used to, you know, the guys, they congregate on the gym floor and they start talking about bodybuilders and stuff. And I think your name came up, and a couple of guys that say like, Ululani Jola. Obviously, this was one of your haters, and you need more of them, you know. Man, that guy's not a bodybuilder, he's a dancer. So I was like, I looked at a guy, I was like, really? And we got into a bit of a debate on like, why would you say something like that? And you know this guy, but we'll call him out at a later stage. And it's like, no, when you go into bodybuilding, you get on the stage, you pose, you do your thing, you get out. And I said, you know what? If you had to compete at every show, I'll make sure when you walk on stage for that division, I'll walk out. Bodybuilder from East London, and the only thing that was available to, I think, East London at the time was the IFBB, if I'm not mistaken. You know, it holds a lot of history.
Yeah.
You were born from that. You know, that's where you made your mark on the stage. And I've asked Quentin this, and I've asked numerous guys this year, but I feel I owe you the opportunity to tell us why you moved from them. And I don't have any beef with the IFBB. I was affiliated with them 10 years ago. Awesome federation, maybe because I was from Durban and I respected the guys down there. But I just want to find out from you. You now with the PCA, what happened for you to make that transition over? When did it happen though, and why?
So I think my last show with the IFBB, the official IFBB. So as many people actually don't know, there's two IFBBs. There's the NPC, and there's the IFBB Elite.
Yeah.
And people are still sold to the idea, thinking that the IFBB Elite is the real deal. So I just call them the Coke and the Coke Light. The real Coke is the NPC. The Coke Light is the IFBB Elite. You know.
Now that we know.
Basically, Wade, with me, back in the days, there was IFBB and there was WPF.
I remember that.
And there was NABA.
Yeah.
There were 3 federations. And then later on, another federation came into the scene, which was IBFF. IBFF came a little bit earlier on, I think 2015 or so. And then I think there was a WBFF.
WBFF, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think the WBFF was a merger or some form of a split between the NABA, and then this was born, the WBFF was born.
That's where it came Pepsi and Pepsi Light with those two.
Yes. But back in the days, there was no beef in terms of what federation you competed at.
Yeah, I remember.
So you could compete in any federation, just like Shameen Adams. I always make an example with Shameen Adams. Shameen Adams used to win, and NABA shows used to win, IFBB shows. He used to win WBFF shows. So they had no problem. There was no beef, and you could compete in all of those federations. I think Shameen also did, NABA, IFBB, yes. So that he could do, like, and even Morris Donay and Andrew Hudson. Andrew Hudson also used to compete in NABA, and then he moved on to IFBB.
Yeah.
But still, there was no beef, man. Like, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head some of the names that guys would know. There was no beef. It's fine. Things changed, you know, with politics that's happening in the sport. And I've always felt like they've got no place in it. A lot of athletes, especially in the Eastern Cape region, if they're getting kickbacks from people embezzling in money, they're going to shut up. They're not going to say anything. They don't care about the next guy, man.
I competed for a short time in Durban, where I grew up, and the magnitude and the quality of the shows that were hosted was always 100%. The Playhouse got history for having the Mr. Natal, now called it the KZN Provincials. And I always thought things were managed properly down there. And then when I moved up to East London and to see that you guys had a show at the Guild Theatre, for me that was tops. You know, everyone, bodybuilding fans and non-bodybuilding fans would show up, because that was like, you know, East London, it's small. If something's happening, everyone's going there. And I spoke to a colleague of yours, used to train. He said to me, I asked him how's the scene, and he said, we went from the Guild Theatre to the casino, and we had a community center now. So I said, how's that possible? He says, you know, the funds, the price to compete, and affiliation and entry fees and backstage fees are going up, and the venues are getting smaller. So what is happening there now? Is bodybuilding in East London dying right now? What is going on? Because I don't see much happening there. I see the athletes. Don't get me wrong. I see the athletes. You guys got some massive talent there, but there's no proper stage for them anymore. What's happening there?
Yeah. So wait, bodybuilding in East London, man, was like, I don't know how I can put it. It was the thing, bro.
Yeah.
It was the thing. Tickets for the Guild Theatre used to be sold out 3 weeks before the show started.
Yeah.
3 weeks. If you didn't get your tickets 3 weeks before the date of that show, Bob's your uncle, man. You're not gonna get a seat. People used to pay just to stand or sit on the aisles. They didn't care.
I remember
they paid the same amount of money.